Hello everyone, Mr. DVB here. In today's video, I am going to be not really reacting because I already watched the announcement for what games were nominated this year, but I'm going to be voting and discussing the nominees of the Game Awards 2021. So the show is happening December 9th, 22 days from now, I believe, I think is what it said. Yeah, 22 days to now. Yeah, I'm going to be reacting to that show as well, like I did last year. My friend Aiden will be joining me for sure. I don't know about Nathan or Jack, so it might just be two people this year, or I might get somebody else. I don't know. But Aiden and I will be reacting to it like we did last year, which was quite a bit of fun. There wasn't a ton of people that ended up watching it, but it was just enjoyable watching it with them. Every year I watch the show with them, so it was pretty fun to do. I don't really think we have anybody watching right now. We probably won't have anybody join because nobody tends to watch these live streams, but that is what it is. But yeah, so I'm just going to be going over the categories and voting in all of them. I did the same thing last year as well because I look forward to the Game Awards. Last year's Game Awards wasn't the greatest. I was fine with the games that won their awards, and it was actually, I personally found 2020 to be a pretty good year for games. Not everybody did, but I actually found there was a lot of titles I really liked that year, and a lot of them were nominated. So for me, it was a good year for games. It just wasn't a great award show because of the fact that it wasn't, like in person. There wasn't the big audience. The orchestra wasn't there. It was just a pre-recorded video and stuff. So it was kind of disappointing. Hey, Chris, how's it going? But yeah, this year is going to be back in the theater with a live orchestra, so it should be pretty great, even though this year wasn't the greatest for games, as you will see when we get into the nominees. But it's still something for me to look forward to nonetheless. So I'm just going to click View All Categories because I like to start off kind of near the bottom. I'm going to skip the esports ones because I just don't follow esports. Hey, Solo, how's it going? So I'll start off with Most Anticipated Game. So the nominees are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Starfield. So these are all games that I'm going to be getting, and I'm looking forward to in some way, shape, or form. Elden Ring, I am really excited for. A couple of years ago I wouldn't have been, but now that I'm, looking forward to, or now that I enjoy those games, now that I've played Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne, I definitely consider myself somebody who loves the Souls games, and Elden Ring looks pretty awesome from what we've seen. There was just that recent kind of like open network test, which looked really cool. It's an open world what's it called? Souls game, which is pretty cool in my opinion. We've never had that before. We've had the Dark Souls games, they're big maps, but they're not quite open world, so that'll be pretty cool for Elden Ring, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. God of War Ragnarok, I'm obviously very excited for, as you guys know from just like all the videos I've made about it in the past, and my rankings of like most anticipated games, it's always near the top, and I'm really looking forward to it. We finally got gameplay a couple months ago in September, I believe, which was pretty awesome to see. The game looks great, so I'm very excited for that. Horizon Forbidden West, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. I need to definitely play it again. But I am actually very excited for Forbidden West because the locations just look amazing. Like the first game, the open world was good, but to me this one just looks even better. Like the map looks beautiful so far, all these really nice tropical locations. Combat looks great, music, graphics, everything. It looks really awesome. Breath of the Wild is another game that I didn't quite really get into. It's a little bit too open for me, where I like to at least have some sense of what I'm supposed to be doing. I find it's a little bit too kind of open-ended in that sense, where you can kind of just do whatever, and sometimes I just had no idea what my objective was. I still like the game. There was a certain point where I was beginning to get into it more, and I did this like big elephant like base or something like that, and I was starting to really enjoy the game then. So it's one that I will need to go back to at some time in the future and actually try to play, which I will probably do before the sequel comes out. If it comes out in 2022, like there's a chance it'll get delayed. I don't think it will come out this year, honestly, or next year. And then there's Starfield. Starfield is one of these that I'm probably the least looking forward to, just because I'm not the biggest fan of Skyrim or Fallout. Don't really think they have the greatest gameplay, and similar to Breath of the Wild, it's just a little bit too open for me. Not really a huge fan of those type of open world games. I prefer more like straightforward open world, I guess, if that makes sense, like Spider-Man or like something like Red Dead Redemption, which is a little bit more detailed than Spider-Man for sure, but it's not quite to the level of like what I imagine Starfield would be like. Just kind of the games where like you can basically pick up every single item you come across. Those kind of games I'm not really a fan of because I just don't know what I'm doing, and then you get like item burden where you're carrying too much. So Starfield, I think it could be cool, but I don't know. So it's really between these three for me. And it sounds weird, but right now I actually think I'm least looking forward to God of War, which is just an odd thing for me to say because normally it would be my most. But I think it's probably my least right now out of those three. I don't quite know why. I think the gameplay that they showed us looked great. It's just probably lower for me. Elden Ring looks excellent. Hope it lives with the hype. Yeah, really cool seeing it's open world as well. Pretty open, so there's no objectives, but there's not much to do with anything main story wise. Yeah, I still like the game. I mean, it's certainly great in some way. So I don't know. Like, I'm honestly thinking I'm gonna be going for Elden Ring here. That's what will probably win. That's what won last year as well. Maybe God of War will win this time around just because, you know, there's actually footage of it now. Like the last time when it was being nominated, there was nothing. We knew nothing about it. So who knows? All right, next category, best esports. Oh yeah, I have to go previous category. Best debut indie. So we have the Artful Escape, Forgotten City, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Sable, and Valheim. I've played only one of these, which is Kena Bridge of Spirits. That's getting my vote. I thought it was a beautiful game, looks amazing, and it was just quite entertaining overall. It felt very polished for what was, you know, a first-time game for an indie company, especially. So that's definitely got my vote. Then we have Content Creator of the Year. Again, I don't really follow any of these. I'm gonna vote for this guy just because his profile pic's funny. Best multiplayer. So this one, I've played two of these. There's Back 4 Blood, which I've played a little bit of, and It Takes Two, which I've like played 3 times or so. Like never to the end. I still have to do the last level, and it's kind of annoying because I always have to wait for my friend to be available, which she never is. I started it with my friend Parker, and then that was couch co-op, and then COVID got worse, so we couldn't hang out. Then I was playing with my friend Nathan. We never finished it, and then I started playing with my friend Jack, and we have 1 level left to go, and we still haven't done it. Back 4 Blood for me honestly isn't that great. Maybe people who really like the Left 4 Dead games enjoy it, but for me it's just not my kind of game. It's just this. It's like very similar maps. It's pretty repetitive. I just don't really care for it much. Knockout City I haven't played. It Takes Two, I think, is a fantastic game. I'll talk about that more later on since it's nominated for a few other categories. So that's easily getting my vote here. I think that is the best game out of these ones by far. Next up is best sports/racing game. So this year I've actually kind of played 2 of these games. I have not played F1 2021. I have not played FIFA. I don't even know why FIFA gets nominated, just because I guess they're running out of ideas or something. Then there's Forza Horizon 5, Hot Wheels Unleashed, which actually looks pretty good. I saw footage of Hot Wheels Unleashed, and it brought me back memories of some of the Hot Wheels games I used to play when I was in daycare, like 14, no, more than 14 years ago, 15 years ago or so. And then Riders Republic. So I haven't played Riders Republic a lot. I played the open beta or whatever, and it was basically, it felt very similar to Steep, which was a winter sports game that came out back in 2015, I believe. I really liked Steep. I didn't play a whole lot of it, but it was a really fun game. Riders Republic gave me the exact same vibes, so quite a good game in my opinion. I just don't own it, so maybe I'll get it in the future. It's the kind of game, if I'm going to get it, I'll probably get it on sale, because it's just not something that I see myself putting a ton of time into. I'm going to go with Forza Horizon, though. I'm not a huge racing game person, but it's got 10s across the board from a lot of people. Many people think it deserved to be nominated for Game of the Year, and it wasn't. And from what I've played, which is just a little bit, it is pretty great. So Forza has my vote. FIFA's just there because there generally aren't too many sports games, I guess. Loved playing Hot Wheels back in the day. Yeah, that's exactly why FIFA's there. I think because FIFA probably is the most polished out of the different sports games that come out. Like between that, NFL, NHL. I mean, NFL, or Madden, I should say, is at the very bottom by far. NHL's kind of in between. FIFA's usually slightly more polished. They just still have a lot of the EA crap in there, but yeah. Best sim/strategy. So I've only played one of these, and I think this is deserving to go to Flight Simulator. I think Flight Simulator was nominated last year, though, which is funny. And I think it won last year as well, but I guess it came out on Xbox this year as well. So I'm going to vote for Flight Simulator because that's when I started playing it this year on the Series X, and I also have it with the flight stick, which is really cool. I think Age of Empires 4 could win. I don't know about these games. I haven't even really heard about them, besides maybe Humankind. But this one, I've always heard about the Age of Empires games, and I could just see that winning as well. So, best family game. All right, this one is interesting because I've only played 2 of these, but I know of all of these. Some of the other categories, I don't know some of those games. These ones, I know of all these. So there's It Takes Two and Mario Party Superstars. I own both of those, and I think both of them are great. No Pokemon Snap, haven't played. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I mean, I've played 3D World or 3D Land or whatever on the 3DS, which was really good. So, and I love Mario. It's a fantastic game franchise, one of my favorites. So, it's probably a great game. And then there's WarioWare Get It Together, which it's a weird image, first of all. Yeah, these two games are really good. Mario Party Superstars, it's my first Mario Party game, and it's been quite a fun experience. I've only played like 3 matches so far, but they always go on for about an hour, and I really like it. It's just a really fun board game with some entertaining mini games, and quite a bit of fun to play with people. It Takes Two, on the other hand, I mean, like I said, I love that game. I already voted for it in best multiplayer category, so it's getting my vote for best family game. I hope to see it win that category, because yeah, it's definitely like just a great couch co-op. I also played some of it with my cousin. Him and I played a level together, and that was really good. All right, next up we have best fighting game. So we have Demon Slayer something, Guilty Gear Strive, Multi Blood Type Lumina, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, and Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. So I'm not a fighter game person. I like Smash Bros. I'm not really a huge Mortal Kombat person, but I've played some of them. I've played 0 of these games. I have heard about Guilty Gear because of my friend Aiden, so I'll vote for Guilty Gear. But otherwise, like, I literally do not care about this category. All right, best role-playing game. So this one, we actually see Cyberpunk make its way into the Game Awards. I think it only ended up getting like 2 nominations. So so Cyberpunk really just missed out on some awards, which sucks because if it was a polished game at launch, it probably would have been nominated for like a vast majority of the categories. It's actually a really great set of games. Yeah, I'll have to check it out because I love the Mario games. I've heard it's really good, but never played it either. So best role-playing game. So I've only played one of these. Monster Hunter Rise, I did not play. I played Monster Hunter World or whatever it was called a couple years ago. That I didn't play a whole lot of it, but I played it with my friend Nate, and we had quite a bit of fun, actually. I was enjoying it. I've heard a lot about Scarlet Nexus. Shin Megami Tensei, there's kind of a big joke between my friend Aiden and I about Shin Megami Tensei. Never played it, but there was just this guy at our school who was a very big fan of it. And then there's Tales of Arise. I've actually heard of all of these. But I'm going to vote for Cyberpunk because I actually played it. I mean, I know that a lot of people don't like the game. It's definitely a mess, but like I even said in my review, if it was a polished game, like the story, the characters, and all that stuff, it's really good. It's a great story with really good characters. It just, unfortunately, was not, ready when it was released. Best action adventure. This is a packed category this year. So we have Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, which I just finished about a week ago. Really, really good game. Highly recommend it. I will hopefully be reviewing it. I made a community post earlier today talking about how I've been very behind on my movie review or on my game reviews, which I have. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I'll hopefully get around to. Metroid Dread I have not played. Psychonauts 2 I have not played. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart I played when it came out and I thought it was great. And then Resident Evil Village I thought was really good as well. So 3 games that I really like here. For the best action/adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. I look at the description too, because last year Last of Us Part 2 won, which was a game I loved, but I don't really think it did the best job of traversal and puzzle solving. To me, last year, I think Fallen Order was nominated, Jedi Fallen Order, and to me, that game did a better job of traversal and puzzle solving. There was more of that in that game. So I think actually looking at what they are talking about, to me, I think Ratchet & Clank strikes me as the most deserving of this because it has pretty solid combat. I would say that it's got better combat than Guardians of the Galaxy and probably on par with Resident Evil Village. Traversal wise, I think Ratchet & Clank is pretty good. None of these games are really strong for traversal out of the 3 that I've played. But puzzle solving, I really liked the puzzles that they had in Ratchet & Clank. There was some really cool missions where you're kind of going to this weird dimension as Clank and you have to solve these dimensional rifts. Really cool stuff. Village, the Resident Evil games are pretty weak for their puzzles recently, and Guardians of the Galaxy was never really a puzzle game in my opinion. There was a few times where you'd have to get characters to move some things for you to climb, but that's about it. So I'm gonna go for Ratchet & Clank on this. I thought it had really good traversal and puzzle solving. Next up, best action game. Another really stacked category. I've actually played 4 of these. The only one I haven't played is Chivalry 2, which I've heard some pretty good things about. Back 4 Blood is definitely not getting my vote. It's pretty standard FPS gameplay. It doesn't stand out to me at all. Chivalry 2, haven't played. Deathloop, I really, really liked the way they handled the combat in the game. It was pretty unique. Far Cry 6, Far Cry 6, I haven't really played much of it. I don't think it's fantastic from what I've played. I enjoy it, I guess, but it doesn't feel like that polished to me. I've just run into like some missions that just didn't really feel well designed. It's a beautiful game, but I really haven't put much time into it. I definitely need to put in more time because I feel like I've only scratched like very little of the surface. And then there's Returnal. Returnal I have not finished because it is a damn hard game. It is a very difficult experience, but it has awesome gameplay. I love the combat in the game. So it's really tough. It's between Returnal and Deathloop for me. But for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. I mean, if I was voting for what game I like the most out of these, I think Deathloop is the best. If I was focusing purely on like the gameplay, which game's combat I thought was the best, I'd probably say Returnal. It's really tough. I'm gonna go with Returnal though. I think it has, for me, the best combat. But if I'm talking about which game I actually think is the best, it would be Deathloop. But the category even says it's like, or even though the category says like what the best game is, to me it's also like about what of the games I enjoyed the most, or which of the games I think had the best combat. So that's why I'm going with Deathloop, or with Returnal. That's one that I might change in the future. Best VR/AR game. So I have played none of these. I don't really use my VR headset much. It's cool, but I just find that there's not really enough games for it. I have a PSVR, so I can't really play PC titles, and I just find that there's not really enough games. Last year was pretty good. There was Star Wars Squadrons, which I really liked, and there was, I never got to play it, but I would really, really like to play it one day, which is the Half-Life Alyx game. This year, I don't know. I've heard really good things about Resident Evil's VR. I haven't really heard much about Hitman 3's VR, and Sniper Elite I haven't heard anything either. These two I know nothing about. I'm just going to vote Resident Evil 4 because I've heard pretty good things about that VR experience. Innovation and accessibility. So last year was really good for accessibility. That was the first year they brought it in this category, and the game that won was Last of Us Part 2, which did have fantastic accessibility innovation. Like, it had a ton of stuff, a ton of options. This year, I mean, I didn't really pay attention to any of the games and like what they really had, so I don't really know what to vote for. I mean, every time I open Far Cry 6, it always asks me if I want to enable voice to text, which is kind of annoying, or text to voice. Forza Horizon 5, don't know about the accessibility there. Guardians, don't know. Ratchet and Clank, I think I saw some of them. I'll just go with Ratchet. Again, like, my vote doesn't really matter in this category. I don't really know too much about those games this year. Best community support, again, I'm just going to skip this one. I don't play any of these games, so. Best mobile game, I'm going to skip this one. Again, I don't play mobile games. Best indie, alright. Oh, that's interesting. I was going to say, like, what? I already voted. But there's indie debut title, so that's, like, a company's first game. And then there's also best indie, which is, like, legitimate. Like, it doesn't have to be their first title. It just has to be a company that doesn't make these kind of games often. 12 Minutes. I know it has Daisy Ridley and Willem Dafoe in it. I think I recall. Or maybe not Willem Dafoe, but I know it has Daisy Ridley in it. Death's Door I haven't played. Inscription I haven't played. I'm going for Kena. I think it's great. Really solid game, so I'm voting for that one. Really liked it. You still here, Chriso? It says there's 0 people now. Best ongoing, Apex Legends, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and Call of Duty Warzone. Again, I don't play any of these. The only one that I semi-liked when I played a little bit of it was Warzone, so I'll just vote for that. But again, I don't play it, so yeah. Games for Impact. Haven't played any of these either, but I know that Life of Strange is, like, really good. So I'm going to go with Life of Strange on that. I still have to play the first one. I think I've had it on my PlayStation for, like, a while, like, as one of the games that I have. Alright, Best Performance. Best Performance this year is interesting because, like, okay, I don't know why I said there was 0. Best Performance this year is interesting because, like, normally it's, like, huge narrative games, which this year it is. But it's usually, like, PlayStation games because they tend to be very, like, cinematic and stuff, so you have lots of performances. But this year, PlayStation exclusives weren't really, like, cinematic type exclusives. The two big ones were Returnal and Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank I would not nominate for performance. And Returnal, I wouldn't either. So it's usually like a game that has like really in-depth cutscenes, or I guess it doesn't have to have in-depth cutscenes. It could just have really good voice acting. So I don't know about Life is Strange because I haven't played it. Giancarlo was great. Is a great actor. I haven't played enough of Far Cry 6. I heard he's not really in it much, which is kind of annoying. Resident Evil Village, Lady Dimitrescu. She was good. Yeah. Jason Kelly is Colt. Juliana from Deathloop. I'm gonna go with Colt. I think. Jason Kelly is Colt. Again, it's not really like the strongest category for voice acting I've seen. I've certainly seen like better ones in the past. Like last year was pretty stacked. 2018 was really stacked. This year's all right for the most part. Like none of these performances really like jumped at me. I'm kind of surprised Keanu Reeves honestly didn't make it onto the list for Cyberpunk. I was kind of expecting him to. I think I saw a video that was like every scene that he was in, and it was like 15 minutes for Giancarlo, which is just like ridiculous. Best audio design. All right, this one's interesting. Recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. All right, so I play my games with surround sound. Like I play with a 7.1 surround sound system, and but this year, like I have a TV room for myself now, and so I've been using a sound bar mostly. So I haven't really gotten as good of an experience for sound. Deathloop, the sound didn't jump out to me much. I never really thought about it. Forza, good car sounds, I guess. I think it's really between the ones on the right. I played Resident Evil Village the first time completely with surround sound, and then the second time I played it with like 3D audio, like with the headset, and it was really good for that. Ratchet and Clank, I played on, like I said, with surround sound, and Returnal with surround sound. That's tough. Honestly, any three of those I'm good with, honestly. That's a really tough one, because Ratchet and Clank's audio, that's tough. That's really tough. I think, honestly, think I would have to remove this one, and it's between these two. This had great 3D audio, and I think I'm going to go with Returnal, because I think it just, like, I really liked the sound effects for the guns, because it's not just, like, it's also about, like, all the sound effects they had to create. Returnal had some just really unique sounding guns, the really good bass, like, that was a really bassy game. So I think I'm going to have to go with Returnal. I think it had some really unique audio. So yeah, that'll be my vote. I don't remember what best score in music was this year. Let's check it out. So best score in music, we've got Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near Replicant version 1.22474487139. That was funny because Jeff Keighley, when he mentioned Near Replicant, he said the full title, which was hilarious. All right, not the games I thought would be nominated. I figured Cyberpunk would. Deathloop, I can definitely see because I really like Deathloop's score. Guardians of the Galaxy, I don't really remember much of the regular score because what stands out most is like the 80s music and stuff. And then the other two, I don't really know. So it's between those three. I would remove Guardians because it doesn't really stand out to me. So it's between Cyberpunk and Deathloop. And I'm trying to think if there's any other games this year that I would have nominated that weren't. Resident Evil Village doesn't really stand out. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a very strong year for music, I guess. I'm gonna go with Cyberpunk. Again, it's between these two. Maybe I would go with Deathloop though. That's tough. You know what? I'm gonna go with Deathloop. I just had to think about it for a second because I think, for me, like Cyberpunk's score was really good, but I don't remember a whole lot of it anymore. Deathloop, like just thinking about it right now. Obviously, I played it more recently. Like I finished it like maybe a month ago or so. But when I think about Deathloop right now, like I just remember a lot of like the really cool jazzy 60s music. It was just really cool for that game. Whereas like Cyberpunk's music, really good, but again, I can't really remember all of it. I think Cyberpunk will probably win. I could be Artful Escape or Near Replicant. I haven't played them, so I can't say. But no, yeah, Deathloop, actually, I'm going to go with that one, because I think just thinking about it, it jumps at me the most. It was just very unique, and I liked the jazzy vibes. Best Art Direction, for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. So this usually goes to the more artsy games. It doesn't often go to the games that have, like, the most realistic graphics. And so I'm taking that into account this year. But also looking at it, none of these games have realistic graphics. These are all games that are more, cartoonish. So the Artful Escape, I I haven't seen much of that. I'm gonna Google it real quick. Oops, I guess I had caps lock on. Yeah, I'm just gonna click on this real quick and just see what it looks like, because I have never seen what this game. Okay, actually, you know what? Maybe I have seen this game. Yeah, it looks cool for its art style. It looks really cool, actually. Like, it's got the 2D, 3D mix. Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Kina. I already knew that, like, already. I knew that was going to be my vote. But, yeah, I just haven't seen that Artful Escape game. The other ones I've seen, Deathloop, I like the art direction. Like, it looks cool. It doesn't really, like, I don't think it's amazing or anything, but I do like the look of it. Kina is just an incredible looking game. Like, it has very, like, a lot of people like to compare it to Pixar. It looks very beautiful. Like, the art style is amazing. The colors are fantastic. It really just jumps out, and it looks very, very nice. So that's great. Psychonauts 2 I haven't played. I'll have to check it out. It's on Game Pass. That one I know is a game that, like, has very, like, wacky, psychedelic visuals. And then there's Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which has, again, like, that's the nicest looking game out of these ones, I would say, if you're talking, like, sharpness-wise. Like, it's a very crisp looking game. So it's between, like, Ratchet and Kina for me, but I'm going to go with Kina just because I think that overall, like, just the art direction, like, yeah, it was very, anyway, that's my vote. Best narrative. So we have, Kina does have insane, yeah, it's a beautiful game. We have Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. Deathloop, it's tough because, like, I wouldn't say the story is, like, amazing, because it is basically just, like, you're on this island and you're stuck in a loop. You have to kill 8 people and then you can escape. But when I, like, look at, like, the way the game's handled, like, the way the story is told, it's really cool because, like, just of the whole design of the game, the way the loops work and stuff, it's very unique and interesting. So that one is kind of, like, yeah, it's really interesting the way it's handled. It's not the best story overall, but it's really cool the way that they chose to tell it. So that's a pretty strong contender. It Takes Two, I mean, I haven't finished it yet. I still have one more level to go, but, you know, that game is just, like, a journey about this, like, husband and wife who are gonna get a divorce, and their child obviously doesn't want them to, and so then they're kind of, like, sucked into this book where they have to rediscover their love. And it's a pretty good story. Again, I haven't really gotten to the end of it yet, so, I mean, I imagine that they, by the end of the game, reconnect. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. But yeah, I like that narrative. Life is Strange, haven't played it, but I imagine has a very strong one. Guardians of the Galaxy, I really liked the story for Guardians of the Galaxy. That was one of the things that surprised me the most. So and then I haven't played Psychonauts. So, I don't know, between Deathloop and It Takes Two, I think It Takes Two story it's probably the more, like, touching and, you know, whatever, but I think Deathloop is more unique, so I'd probably go with Deathloop. And then between Deathloop and Guardians of the Galaxy, that's tough, because Guardians was a pretty good story. I'm gonna go with Deathloop. I think this might be one that I change my mind on in the future, but for now I'm going with Deathloop. Like, Guardians, I don't know, that's tough. I'll just go with Deathloop for now. Previous category. All right, best game direction. Award for outstanding creative vision and innovation in direction and design. This one's interesting because, all right, so Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank. Deathloop, I just talked about how it has really cool direction. Like, the way the game is, it's very creative. Like, the way the loops work. Because, to me, Returnal, like, it's cool, but I wouldn't say it's, like, super unique, because it's the same as, like, Hades and other roguelites, where when you die, you respawn without any of your weapons that you had at the very start of the game, and you have to, like, go through everything, and the map changes every time. So it's not, like, you know, it's not necessarily something we haven't seen before. It's handled really well, but I don't know. Psychonauts haven't played. Ratchet and Clank, game direction design, I don't know. It's one of those categories where it's like I have an idea of what they, like, mean, but it's also kind of, like, vague. Like, I don't know entirely how they look at this category. So it's between It Takes Two and Deathloop for me, because Deathloop, like I said, it's really unique the way they handle the direction of it with the way the loop works, and I can't even go into depth explaining the style of that game, but it's just really, really cool the way it's handled. Whereas with It Takes Two, it's more straightforward. Hey, Tyron, doing well. With It Takes Two, it's more straightforward, but that game for me had some of the best like level design I've ever seen in the game. It was great. Like I loved playing that game with my friends. Because every level was just like kind of a different style of game with like very very different like settings and whatnot. So I don't know. It's really hard because stylistically I loved It Takes Two. Deathloop for me, like to me, is more innovative. So that's why it's tough between these two because like I've been voting for Deathloop a lot on here, and damn, I'm gonna have to go with or for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction design. Like the level design of It Takes Two, very awesome, unique. The game, like the actual way that the game overall is designed for Deathloop is really cool. I'm gonna go with It Takes Two, but I could see, but I'm really split between those two. It's like 50-50 for me. It could honestly go either way. Either of those games could win, and I would be fine with it. All right, last category, game of the year. Recognize a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. So, the nominees are Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village. So I've played 3 of these. I've played 4 of them. Played Deathloop, It Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank, and Resident Evil Village. I have not played Psychonauts or Metroid. I could play Psychonauts anytime, considering I have Game Pass and I have an Xbox Series X, so I'll probably be downloading that later and playing that sometime. Damn. Deathloop's a really like it's a really cool game. I'm repeating the same things this entire stream. I don't have much of vocabulary to describe these things. Deathloop, okay, the story is pretty straightforward. It's not anything like unique, but it's just the way that it's told that's unique. The story itself's pretty simplistic. It's got solid gameplay, I would say. I wouldn't say that the combat's amazing, but I do like it. What I really enjoyed about that game's gameplay was when they brought in like the different Visionaries' abilities that you could acquire, so allowing you to like teleport or kind of link like a bunch of people in a room together, so that if one person gets shot in the head, all of the guys' heads explode, right? So you could kind of do like these really cool attacks and stuff with these different abilities. And I love the direction of that game, like the way the story is told with how you're learning info about one guy. You sabotage somebody's project, and then that causes them to go to this facility later that day that they normally wouldn't have gone to. So you're kind of like, basically, you have all these things that you have to figure out. You put them in the right order, and then it creates the perfect timeline where you can execute each and every single one of these bad guys in one go, which is just really cool. It's a very interesting way of telling a story. So Deathloop for me, I mean, that one, really great game. If I had to give it a rating, because here's the thing, I haven't done a review for that or It Takes Two. If I had to give Deathloop a rating, it would be a 9. It's not quite a 10 for me, but I do think it is a phenomenal game. It Takes Two has some of the most creative level design I've seen in a game in a while. Like, the levels are super unique. Each one has a different style. One level might be like I don't even remember what they're called, but kind of like World of Warcraft or something, or Diablo, right, where the camera's like really high up and you're like walking around casting different spells and stuff. You'll have one mission that's like that. You'll have one that's a space level that's all about these different, like environmental puzzles. You'll have another one which is focused on like combat. So each level is very different, and it's telling a story that for many people is probably relatable. It's not the most unique story, but it's a story that for a lot of people is probably relatable. And so that's why it's kind of tough. Metroid, again, I haven't... Gamer Collector. Yeah, sorry, good. I'm not voting Metroid. I'll tell you that right now. I haven't played it, so I can't vote for it. Metroid, I haven't played. I've heard great things, but I have not played it, so I can't vote for it. Psychonauts 2, have not played, so I can't really vote for it, but I've heard great things. That one I will play because it's on Game Pass, so I'll be getting that sometime soon, or just downloading it, I should say. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I really, really liked. I thought it was a very fun game. The story was good, I guess. I really liked that game design wise. All of the like SSD stuff that they managed to do, like taking advantage of the SSD with the level design was pretty cool. It's not my pick. And then there's Resident Evil Village, which I really liked Village, but the problem for me was that towards the end of the game, once you go to like Heisenberg's factory, the game kind of just goes in a different direction. Like for me, its story wasn't as even as previous Resident Evil games. Like with Resident Evil 7, which is probably my favorite Resident Evil game, that one felt pretty consistent until, I mean, towards the end there's that one mission on the boat that crashed or whatever. That level was it was the weak point of the game for me, but it still fit with the game's story overall. For me, the problem with Resident Evil Village was like you have this really old village, like Transylvania-esque on this mountain, very eerie and suspenseful. You have the castle, which is a really cool location that feels like a classic Resident Evil location. So very eerie still maintaining that style. Then you have the second location. I don't remember the name of all of them, but it's like the house that's kind of by the waterfall, and there's the dolls and stuff. There's the really creepy baby sequence. So that one, that still fits with the tone because it's still going with that eerie style and stuff. Then you have the third location, which was kind of like that reservoir, like the village that's kind of near the water, and that was really cool as well. And then there's Heisenberg's factory, which has robots. Like it's so out of place in my opinion that they have like robots all of a sudden in the game, like robot zombies. So to me, that kind of hurt it a little bit, honestly, like just how the game's story just goes in a really weird direction. And then also I felt like, it's a pretty short game. That's the problem with the Resident Evil games for me, is that they're all really short. I still think Village is great overall. I would put 7 above it. Maybe put the remake of 2, I don't know. But it's definitely better than 3. I really liked Village overall. Like, I still think it's a great game, but I don't think it has my vote. So it's between Deathloop and It Takes Two for me personally. So sorry, Gamer Collector. It's literally like 2 games that you did not mention. And for me, It Takes Two. That's my favorite game of the year. That's the only game this year that I would give a 10 to. Deathloop is a 9. It Takes Two is a 10. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, somewhere between an 8 and a 9. And Resident Evil Village, about an 8. So, yeah, It Takes Two has my vote. Like I said, I mean, I haven't gotten to review it yet, but it is my favorite game of the year. I love the levels. It's super fun. Like, it's just got a really great style. It doesn't have the strongest story for me, but it has it's just been the most entertaining experience overall. So that's got my vote. Deathloop, really unique game. I really enjoyed it, just not my personal favorite. And yeah, so there you go. That's those games. There's still there's like 7 categories I didn't vote for. I'm just going to go through these real quick and just... Best esports event. Oh yeah, I really loved the Stockholm one. I don't know, guys. I'm just going to... I'll just vote for every category to say I did it. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, looks like he won. Best esports team. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, it's not going to work. I'll just click this one. There you go. Best esports athlete. Stop. There we go. That's my vote. Esports game. That one. We got 2 more categories. Which ones did I skip? There's 2 categories I skipped still. Oh yeah, they were later on. Sim strategy I voted for. Family I voted. Fighting I voted. Role-playing I voted. Action adventure. Jeez, which ones did I skip again? It's the next one, I bet. Yep. Community support. No Man's Sky. Mobile game. Pokemon Unite. There you go, guys. So, yeah, overall, I mean, it's not the most... It wasn't the greatest year for games, so... looking at the awards season, I'm not crazy about it. But I think like the games that were nominated were deserving. I was kind of, as far as like surprises, there weren't really any besides like I was kind of expecting Returnal to be nominated for Game of the Year. That was a little bit of a surprise that it didn't make that. But the other ones, I figured the games that I figured were gonna go on there. I figured Resident Evil Village was gonna be on there. I figured Ratchet and Clank. I figured It Takes Two and Deathloop. So, Yeah, the only one that like really I haven't played Psychonauts or Metroid, but I heard a lot of good things about Metroid, so I kind of figured it'd be on there. I know some people were shocked that Forza Horizon 5 wasn't nominated. It doesn't really affect me because I'm not a huge racing game person, so it's not something I really care much for. But yeah, overall, I mean, I'm looking forward to the Game Awards for sure. It's gonna be nice just to have it in a live theater again because last year's was just odd having everybody doing over like a Zoom call. So having people there going up, accepting their award while the crowd cheers and the live orchestra, it's gonna be pretty good. So yeah, there you have it. That is the 2021 Game Awards. So yeah, I'll be, like I said, streaming that on December 9th. That's when it's happening. So I'll be doing a live stream reacting to it with my friend Aiden. Again, I don't know if Nathan will be joining us. I don't know if Jack will be joining us. Don't know if I'll get another person to join or not. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, those are the Game Awards. Those are my votes. Let me know what you guys are voting for. And thank you for watching this video. Bye-bye.